channel. I'm Iris, and I wanted to just do something different on this channel for a bit. Not all the time, but it is like a vlog channel. So whatever's happening in my life, I share with that. So that's why I wanted to. That's why I started this channel. So when I was doing my skin at the time, and all things different are changing. But today I specifically want to talk about debts, and the reason why I'm talking about debt is because at 47 now, I am looking at a point where it's time for me to really get financial independence, and retire early. They call that fire. And I want to take you on this journey with me as I find this way of trying to get to that space. So in my 20s and my 30s, I spent a lot of time in debt. All I was doing was paying off debt, chasing debt, and it was really, really a horrible period of my life. The debt wasn't actually only created by me. It was created by my ex-partner, and we had joint accounts, so the joint debts. Um, the long story short is my ex-partner decided that he didn't pay any of the debts. He didn't want to, but they chased me, and it really was difficult. But the things that helped me, and I'll just kind of like address debt first so that you understand where I'm coming from, because my life is so much different now, is that I had all these debts. So I managed to get out there. I paid off all my debts now. My debts are all paid, and it took me my 20s into my 30s, so at least 15 years to clear all these debts, and I'm talking huge debts. And the only way I managed to actually get out of these debts was because I had the interest frozen on them. Without the interest frozen on them, I'd still be drowning in that debt. And this is what I hate about debt. It's like it's there to keep you there forever, and you're just stuck in it forever. And debt is a way of keeping you poor, in my opinion, because that's all it's done. It's kept me poor. If I look at how much money I would have had, and if I'd invested that money instead of getting debt into debt, I would have been in a lot better position. And at the time, you don't see that because you want these things, or you need stuff, or you just don't have a choice. And so what you do is you get some debt, and then you owe somebody money, and you owe it for a long time because they keep you in it, or they offer you more debts. So I got into debt because my ex-partner decided that he didn't want to pay his share of the debt. So one day, out of the blue, he just didn't tell me anything that was happening, and all the money that came out of our joint account was taken out. Everything was taken out. When I tried to get him to help me pay the debts, he would just disappear on me. I wouldn't know where he was. So it was really difficult, and I was raising my 6-year-old daughter at the time, so that was really hard. And all I did was spend my time working. So it got to the point where I couldn't pay I could pay only debts. I couldn't pay my debts. And my salary so I had to change my bank account. So that's the first thing that had to happen. So I really needed help to get out of this position. I needed somebody to help me because I didn't know what to do. So it got to the point where the creditors were phoning me, and I got to that point where I told them, you know what, do whatever you think is right. And so 2 of the creditors took me to court, which actually worked in my favor, funny enough. I was taken to court to pay this debt. And I had been advised by Citizens Bureau at the time to just pay £1 to, as a, what is it called? Like, to say that I'm not ignoring it, but I don't have that money right now. So I would pay £1 to each and every of the debts every month. And this is just for me to tell them that I'm working on it, trying to get there's a name for that. I can't even remember. So I sorted out my finances. I paid what I could, and I went to this court. So the first place that I went to court, it was NatWest. NatWest took me to court because my ex-partner took out a debt of £15,000 to buy a truck that he sold, and he took the money. And he left me with the debt. It was more or less my bank account anyway. So I was stuck with this £15,000, and that I couldn't pay the amounts. They wanted me to pay, I think it was £300 a month back, and I had a car as well. It was a lot of debts. And when we were joint, we could afford them. But when it became just me, it became quite hard work. So I was taken to court, and I remember the judge just looking at everything I'd produced, and me not saying that I didn't want to do it, and he just said, you know what, this woman cannot pay any more debts. She can't pay anything what she's paying. I'm going to freeze the interest on this debt. So they took me to court, but my debt was my interest was frozen on it. So that worked in my favor, because he said there's no point keep on adding interest and then expecting her to pay. She's already struggling. And that happened the second time as well. The next people that took me to court, so I almost lost my house. And I was told that they needed to negotiate with me how to work together and help me get back on track, because I did have a young child in the house. So the way they helped me get back on track was to put me on an interest only for a year, and that lowered my payments. Obviously, I'm back on my repayment mortgage for years now, and I am actually now in a positive equity. I have equity on my house, so which is a really, really nice. And it was really hard that time. So once that was sorted and I went to court, and I found that it's not a big deal as it was. I thought it was like nobody's going to do anything, they're just barking at me, and yes, they can make your life seriously stressful. And at that time, I think there was less, like laws of the way people were doing things. But now I think there's a lot more protection. I don't know now how it is, but what I did further was I looked at all my finances. So I had a car on hire purchase, and I sent that back, and I paid a termination and exit fee. And then I took the second thing that I did. So the second thing that I did was I worked with Step Change, and Step Change changed my life. It really changed my life for the better. So I handed everything over to Step Change, and that was a good idea because it stopped the creditors coming directly for me, and they had to deal with Step Change. And that was nice because it suddenly became peaceful. And Step Change, so to work with Step Change, you have to be totally vulnerable, open, so you have to be transparent with your finances. So they have to see your bank accounts, they have to see what you're paying, what's coming in, and you have to be really transparent and honest about it, because they're going to manage that money for you. So that's what I did. So, and they prioritize your debt. So my priority debts was my mortgage, my mortgage, that's my son over there, my mortgage, my council tax, and your electric bills, your gas, electric, and then obviously you've got your food, water, and everything else. And I had a child in the house as well. And they took that on them, and they managed to negotiate with every creditor. So I had credit cards, my hire purchase card that I had to terminate. I had this big huge debt that was taken out by my ex, and another few other debts that all accumulated over this time. And what they did was they negotiated with the creditors, and the creditors agreed that I will be paying a minimum amount of what I could afford, and they froze the interest. So that worked in my favor. After about a year of doing that, I decided to not deal with Step Change anymore. I didn't feel like I needed to, and I started paying my debts myself, and it stayed the same. They could never go back on their word and change the fact that, so I just continued to pay a minimum amount, but with no interest. So it really started to decrease my debts, which was amazing. And then a lot of the companies sold the debt. So Halifax, the bank that I had credit card, I had Capital One credit card, and I can't remember what they sold this debt to other companies to, so they sell the debt, and then these companies continue the what you call it, the what's it called, the debt, and they don't change it. And it was nice because you could renegotiate with them, and they seem less likely to chase you. So once it changes hands, I just felt like it was better. So obviously my credit score was like not great. It's only starting to build up a little bit now, And I was okay with that. I was okay with that. And over time, my debts just got lower and lower and lower, and the process was good. So the choices you can make is you can either go to step change or you can do it yourself. One of the ways of doing it yourself is, first of all, you just prioritize. You tell yourself, so your priority debts need to be paid. And secondly, you take things like credit cards and stuff like that are not the most important to, like, oh, I have to pay that first. No, its only problem is with interest. But what you can do is put them in order of the highest to the lowest and split them equally. And then you write to all your creditors and you tell them and you show them exactly your income, your expenditure, and then just tell them what you would like to pay them and how you would like to pay them, and ask them, and actually take that step of asking them to stop the interest. Because if you're struggling to pay a debt, you shouldn't be forced to continue to pay debt that you cannot afford. It's not, there's ways around it. Or you go into the Citizens Bureau advice and see what it can give you, and ask you to help you as well and guide you through it. But if you do write to creditors, asking them, using a template and asking them to review and say that you can't pay this, and they will accept. But at the end of it, for me, that what worked is that, so this year I ended up clearing it all, and I just got to the point where I was able to clear this all, and every single debt was just paid off. But that amounts were now a lot smaller because I didn't have the interest to pay. And that's just my journey now to start building income, guys. It's really important for me. It's important because I'm getting older. It's important. I've got a young son. I've got an older daughter, but I've got a young son that I still have to kind of look after and keep up. And I cannot go through what I did last time. And I really have to build up my income. So I have started to invest in shares, in stock. I have an Invest Engine, and that one is managed by Invest Engine. And because I'm not really and then I have a Trade 212. But slowly but surely, I am starting to build income rather than get myself into debt. The other thing that actually happened and worked in my favor was I got some money back from a company called Alliance and Leicester. It used to be Alliance and Leicester, became Santander or something. I don't know what. I don't remember what they did with the loan or whatever. So they gave me £3,000 back. That was a while ago. I forgot to mention that, which helped me. To something to do with, I can't even remember whether it was PPIs or whatever, but I got quite a bit of money back for that. And so just being able to find ways to reduce your debt or stop the interest. I think it's the interest that is the most important. If you can get the interest stopped, then you are on your way to start being financially free. And I think for me, so I have my mortgage left. That's the only debt I have. But the nice part about my mortgage is that I am now in equity. And I think this has opened my eyes to realize that real estate is a really good investment. Real estate. But now, when I go into real estate, it's with me and my partner. When we go into real estate, we are not going to be doing real estate with a mortgage. We're going to be doing it without a mortgage. So we've been doing up this house, and it's to add value to it and then sell it and then move on into that. But all I'm saying is that this is my road to just changing my way of thinking and seeing what matters the most. These things that don't value and trying, because that's what I did. A lot of things were because I wanted to feel like I am doing things, but that does not help anyone. It doesn't help us at all. So I just thought that I would share this, and hopefully it helps someone. And if you want to know anything, just let me know, ask me. But at the end of the day, all I'm saying is that I am definitely 100% going to start going towards the positive side of my finances, and I will be sharing that journey. How I share it, I don't know, but I will be saying things that has helped me to get to that position. And there's going to be different things and topics that I'm going to be doing, because we have an idea. I've been talking with my partner what we will be doing and how we're going to make this work. How are we going to increase what we have now, instead of decreasing it and spending it on, you know, just on things that are not going to give us any value. Anyway, thank you for watching. Bye for now.